with another May I Scrap Lift You, and today I am scrap lifting this pretty cool layout, whoa, from Jessica Ware. Right there. How fun is that? Now she used a large die cut or a cut file, and I don't know if her cut file came with all the little holes or if she cut out different ones to where she wanted all of her goodies. But I liked that idea of that. So mine is a solid cut file with hexagons all over it, and I do plan on cutting out little holes here and there, but I don't have as many photos as she does, but I do have 3 photos, and I'm not sure if I'm going to wrap them around like this or not. I don't know where I'm going yet. I don't. I have no plan. I just pulled out supplies that I thought I would use. So I pulled out my stencil book. It's my mini stencils over here. And so I thought I would see what kind of stencil I would want to use on my background paper. I also pulled out this Postbox Red Dilution ink spray and Vicki Boutin modeling paste because I don't have a red Nuvo, I don't have a red anything. So I'm going to make my own red modeling paste so I can have a tone-on-tone effect. Then I also pulled out my dies, my hexagon dies, so I could find the size that I need to fit inside, or roughly to, inside my cut file, because it looks like that's exactly what she kind of sort of did. I'm not really sure. Looks like all she did was cut her photos. But I don't intend to cut my photos in a hexagon. I just have a hard time doing that. So my photos will probably either be rectangles or squares, and then the papers that I chose to use will be the hexagons, okay? So that's where I'm going to go with that one. I also pulled out cute little salt and pepper shaker. Look at that. Aren't they adorable? They're not mine. They're by Close to My Heart. They come in the little something kit. I forgot which one it was. Hang on. It's this one right here. It's called Eat, Play, Love. And they're the little wood shapes of like baking and stuff like that. And so I pulled out salt and pepper because there never seems to be any restaurant icons. Instead of, it's always baking, and I definitely don't bake. Just to let you know. I also have this really cool Kaiser Craft collection. It's called Bon Appetit. It's the closest one that I have found to restaurant-like, restaurant-ish icons and things like that, but there is a lot of baking in here as well. So, but because we're talking about an Italian restaurant, Bon Appetit works perfectly fine. I love that, you guys. So I have my 3 photos of my favorite restaurant in the whole wide world. Not fast food, because that's In-N-Out. This is tomatoes. I don't even... And talk about an oxymoron, you guys. Seriously, I don't like tomatoes, but this is the best restaurant ever. And if you guys ever get a chance to try Maxie's Tomatoes, then definitely try their nachos, okay? Just saying. And when you get the plate and you go, what is that? Oh, still just eat it. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Look, my mouth is watering thinking about it. So I have 2 of these recipe cards. Now, again, they're from the exact same collection by Kaiser Craft. There was like 5 recipe cards and 5 of each card. And so I pulled them out because I think that they're great titles. And what I was thinking about doing is just kind of like cutting them out and then ticketing the corners. So that way I have a title, but I didn't know which one I wanted to use. Now this one clearly has been pulled out and put away, pulled out and put away because it wasn't with its brothers and sisters. And then this one I also saw because, you know, when I think of an Italian restaurant, I think of, you know, flavor. Oh my gosh, all that flavor. So, but I love to eat too. And I think that this is a Julia Childs quote. I'm not really sure, but I think that that's what she used to say. I also pulled out 3 pieces of 6x6 from the exact same collection. Now I wasn't able to get my hands on the 12x12 because by the time that I pay attention to Kaiser Craft and all the gorgeous papers that they have out there, I'm too late. For some reason, Kaiser Craft has always been one of my favorite companies, kind of like Cocoa Vanilla. They're like unicorns to me, right? And so when I finally realized that they came out with a new collection, because I don't follow the trends or anything like that, I'm always too late and I get my hands on what I can and I make do with what I have. So I pulled out 3 6x6 pieces of paper, as well as these little punch outs that came with the 6x6 paper pad. So I've got those 2 items. I don't know what I plan on doing with those, but I was just pulling pieces that kind of represented tomatoes. And then that leads me to my papers. Now, one of the goals that I wanted to do this month, I had so much fun destashing last month. I actually got through quite a bit of my mini paper pads. I pulled out 16 page protectors full of pocket cards. So that's awesome, in my opinion. I won't tell you how many pages I had in the books because I had 2 books. But they weren't like this. They were decent sized books. But I pulled out 16 page protectors, which means that that's how many cards I used up. I was so happy for that. But now I want to work on my loose paper. I have about an inch and a half. I can't really say it's 2 inches because my little space isn't 2 inches. But I have about an inch and a half of loose papers, and they're in color order, so they are kind of like read as a solid pieces of paper. Anything else that has like an icon or gives me that mood and feel, I put those in my category bins. So that's why my stack isn't very big. I do have tons of loose paper, but this is my loose paper that doesn't have a home, and so it's more of my color paper. So that's where I went for these 2 pieces. I pulled out an Amy Tangerine Late Afternoon, and it's this gorgeous green color with this floral on top, and then it's this really dark green stripe, and it's actually got like 3 different tones, or even maybe just 2 different tones of green. I really liked that a lot. And then I pulled out this paper that's going to be my background for my cut file, and it's Take Note. I believe it's by Fancy Pants. I don't know what the little things is. It might be the name of the piece of paper. I don't know, you guys. I'm still at a loss to all that, and apparently it was next to a glitter My Mind's Eye paper because it's got it all over. But I planned on using a solid piece and then taking my mixed media and doing something, but I don't want it to be the whole thing like she has. She has, I don't know if it's mixed media or if it's a piece of paper. It looks like it's just a piece of paper that has all these little crosses on it, or X's, plus signs. That's what they are. So anyways, I wanted to kind of represent that, but I didn't want it to be like this is a pattern paper. I want it to be very subtle, and I want it to be like just big enough to where it peeks out behind my photos. Now I usually am terrible at doing something like this because usually it's only this big and my photo's that big, and I give up and nobody ever gets to see it. But I do plan on taking this cut file. Now this is a cut file, shameless plug, that is in my store, and hers goes straight up and down, where this one's kind of at a little angle for a little bit more interest, I guess. I like that better. Anyways, sorry. So anyways, I do plan on going through and chopping some of this up and cutting out open paces. Yep, open spaces, just like hers is. And then that way it kind of looks like it goes up and over, and then a little bit sticking out over here. Now mine might not work as well as hers because, like I said, hers is going straight up and down, so she doesn't have all these little wonky pieces in the way, but we'll see what goes. First thing I'm going to do is start on the mixed media. I'm going to go and pick out a stencil from my mini album, or my mini stencil book. I'm going to pick out a stencil and see what I want. I might even have a plus stencil. That would look good. All right, let's get going. So for the stencil that I picked out, I decided to go with more hexagons. I know, it's weird, but these ones here are more of like a chicken wire. And basically what I've already done is I've already stuck my modeling paste on my glass mat, And then I sprayed just one little squirt of the Dylusions Red. I think it's Postbox Red. And at first I was like, well, maybe it'll dry darker, but it's a little too pink for me. I liked it when I first started mixing it because it did look like a red. And then after I started mixing it some more, it was kind of like a pink, but I didn't want to waste too much ink, especially if it wasn't going to work. So, you know, like if they weren't going to be mixable medias, which I've never run into a problem with trying to get a spray to mix with a modeling paste, by the way. So, and I am looking at the back of my stencil before placing it down to make sure I don't have any creeping, any modeling paste underneath, because as soon as I lay it down, it'll act like a stamp and then I'll get a not so good impression. And so I'll just wipe it with my finger to make sure. I mean, it's okay if it's not cleaned off like exactly, as long as you don't have a big gob of something. So I just guessed at where I wanted to put my mixed media. It wasn't anything like uber super special. I wasn't going to go for, you know, like I wanted the entire thing. I just wanted them peeking out, and especially that subtle look. So I am trimming down my photos. I trimmed the one down 1/4 of an inch smaller than a 4x6. And now I'm doing the exact same with the other two photos, only they're 1/4 of an inch smaller than a 4x4, because eventually I'm going to decide to double matte my photos. I want a white crisp border behind my photos before I go and put this striped down, only because of the fact that the large cut file has a white crisp on it as well. And so I thought, well, you know what? I think it would look great if everything had a white crisp border on it. Is white crisp even a word? I have no idea. And I'm still being stubborn. I have not changed my blade in my trimmer just yet. But I do have to say that this was kind of getting a little annoying. Having to cut. So I decided to change my trimmer. And of course, they don't make the blades for this trimmer anymore. And so they make blades for another trimmer. I think it's white with this brighter blue. And so they just don't match, but they're the exact same blades. I mean, oh my goodness. And every time I clean or I put a brand new blade in, I clean my track out just to make sure that it doesn't have anything in it, any paper or anything to help dull the new blade. And when I also cut with a blade, I cut one way and only one way until that blade starts to show dullness. And then I'll flip it and then cut it, you know, start using the other side because the blade is two sides. I do know that I have an issue with guillotine trimmers. I don't mind quickly doing photos or something like that, but I haven't found a 12-inch guillotine trimmer that I like just yet. I thought that, you know, I could find a trimmer that was only 6 inches wide, but then 12 inches long. But I don't like when the grooves, like my trimmer that I have now for my 12-inch one, the grooves are indented in and they're at 1/4 of an inch. There's no 1/8 inch grooves except for at the very top where the numbers are in the blue strip. That's my 1/8 inch mark, and unless I have a 12-inch piece going all the way down, I really don't know that I'm centered or that I'm making a straight cut, because lately I feel like my paper's all crooked. It's just me. But this particular Tonic Studio one happens to have a ruler in the center as well. So if my paper is at least 6 inches long, I still have that guide of, yep, you're still going straight because 1/8 inches here and 1/8 inches here. So I do like that one, but I have not found a guillotine trimmer that does that exact same thing. So that's where I'm kind of at a loss. You know, I've never had to replace a guillotine trimmer in ever, like never. So if I ever find a guillotine trimmer that I like, plus I like really just saying the word guillotine, then I definitely would probably switch to a guillotine rather than having to constantly buy blades. But until then, I will stick with the trimmer that I have. Anywho, Jessica,
She's actually Jess. She's one of the Scrappy sisters, or Scrapping. I think it's Scrappy Sisters. I apologize. Here on YouTube, her and her sister. Oh my god, her sister's name just flitted away from my brain. Katie, thank you. I apologize about that. Her and her sister share a channel, which I think is really amazing. And how they get it, to in sync like that I just love that. And they do collabs all the time. I absolutely love their channel. They're two sisters from Australia, and I don't have, like, I've always followed them, you guys. They are just the sweetest things ever. And so, yes, I absolutely am pleased to ScrapLift one of them. Anyways, again, I didn't like how it dried. It was too pink for me, even though you really couldn't see it in the video. That was weird. But it was too pink for me. And so I just took a really dark red, close to my heart ink that I had, and basically just rubbed my ink until I actually colored the modeling paste. So, and it colored quite well, actually, and it didn't feel all greasy or like the color was coming up. So I am just now struggling with cutting out all of these hexagons. For some reason, my brain was like, why is this so hard? I mean, I was laughing at myself because it was so hard for me to figure out how to cut these. So, and now I'm just seeing if I need to cut one more, and yes, I do. I need to cut this one little piece off, just to make it, give it a little bit more interest. But yeah, I was flipping and flopping that die cut around like I had no clue what I was doing, which I never do, honestly. Then I'm going to take a little bit of glue. I started in the corner of where I wanted this cut file. I wasn't going to try to glue the whole thing and then flip it upside down and try to get it on straight. There was no way. So basically all I did was start in one corner, make sure it was glued where I wanted it, and then put little dabs of glue all the way around, knowing that my photo and embellishments and all this other good stuff I'm putting onto my page will help hold the cut file down as long as the edges are glued down. So I'm taking the hexagons that I cut out. I also cut out a white border for them as well. I really do like that. Plus that is what is in Jess's photo as well, or sketch. No, layout, whatever it is. I don't know. So yes, that is exactly what it is. And then what I'm trying to do is get my hexagons to go at the exact same angle as the hexagons in the cut file. It's by the time that I'm done, it's like close enough because clearly my eyes are crooked, seriously. But I do enjoy setting the hexagons on top of the cut file as well as tucking them underneath the cut file. I really like this effect, and I would have never done this had I not gotten inspiration from this layout. Seriously, I would have never done this. I do enjoy having like broken hexagons, as it were, but to mesh other hexagons, I would have called that good. I would have took the hexagon cut file and called it a good one and never did anything else until I saw Jess's layout. I keep calling it a sketch. It is not a sketch, but I'll keep calling it a sketch because that's who I am. But until I saw her do that, I would have never thought to do this. And so I'm really pleased with how it all turns out. And I decided that instead of ticketing my my title, I thought that maybe I would hexagon my title. And so that is exactly what I did. I took it over to my larger die cut machine because I measured it and it would not fit in my travel die cut machine. So I took it over and just cut her up. And then I debated about putting another hexagon below until I found the saying that I could not add because it was too big in a green little square. And I thought, oh, that's perfect, because I wanted a little splash of green down there. And it says what I wanted it to say, which is, you really trust people that love to eat. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what it says. I don't remember what it says, but that's a good saying too, right? And then, of course, by the word spice, I decided to just add both salt and pepper shakers, or shakers. I don't even know what they are in or what is in them, but I decided to add them both in that blank space to kind of tie in the title and then of course the subtitle. And then I love that little notebook right there. It says today's special, which I thought was really great considering at a restaurant they usually have daily specials. And then of course all of these herbs that came in the die cut pack. And yes, they were perfect because they're not too green and they're not like in your face white. They just were absolutely perfect. Now I am just using my ATG gun. I didn't even take into consideration of whether or not it was going to stick to the mixed media or not. Honestly, I had no clue. It's sticking so far. It still is sticking so far. So I think we're good to go. But yeah, I just used my ATG, but I also didn't use a whole lot of mixed media. Like I didn't gesso the entire page or anything like that. I just took modeling paste through a very thin stencil and called it good. That's it. So there's still that paper in between the stencil bits for things to stick to, if that makes sense. And again, I'm having issues trying to get used to the serrated edge part of those scissors. And so I just feel like I've never cut anything before in my life. I don't know what the struggles are. But instead of sequins, like in Jess's photo layout, oh my god, I decided I'm just going to add some sprinkles. And I love this little pop of black that I bring in. I don't even know where I got it from, but I absolutely love it. And that is it. Here it is. I just had so much fun putting together this bright page. I would have never in a million years thought to use a red background or anything, but I love how everything pops off of the page. Anyways, here are the close-ups. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope that I will check you guys all tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.